welcome to Movies That Scared Us, Part 2 for Continual. I'm your host, Gail Z. Martin, and tonight we're going to pick up where we left off because we had so much fun talking about the movies that scared us, we just couldn't stop. So here we are back again with more scary movies that, scarred and twisted us for the rest of our lives, and we're going to be talking about that for fun tonight. But I'm going to let my panelists introduce themselves, starting with Jason.
So my name is Jason Gilbert. I am the author of the Cold Stone Files series through Falstaff Books. I'm the author of Clockworks of War series. I do fail flicks where I watch bad movies for fun and because I may have a masochistic streak. And I somehow got roped into being a regular on riffing movies on Sunday nights with Oh Hi Mark and Carol Cowles.
Awesome. Darin?
I am Darin Kennedy. I am a writer of paranormal thrillers and contemporary fantasy. My Fugue and Fable series combines elements of Russian classical music and psychic dreamscapes. My Pawn Stratagem series is all about magical chess games that decide the fate of the world. And my new young adult book, Carol, which is basically Scrooge meets Mean Girls, comes out on Halloween. So look for my 12 Days of Christmas in October, starting in about a week.
Awesome. Lisa?
Hi, my name is Elmarie Wood. I am the author of the psychological horror book, The Realm, which is coming out in, 2 weeks, October 29th. It touches on what happens in the afterlife and starts off really, really fast. I'm also a psychological screenwriter, so I like to write for screen and book. I like to hit you when you're watching it and hit you when you're reading it.
Great. Jeannie?
I'm Jeanne Adams. I write paranormal romantic suspense. I write urban fantasy, and I write regular romantic suspense as well. And I just like scary movies.
Alledria?
Hi, I'm Alledria Hurt, and I also write in this horror genre with the most recent piece being Alice, which came out on the 6th of October. Woo!
And as Gail Z. Martin, I write epic fantasy and urban fantasy. How scary some of those are to you? Well, your mileage may vary. I have been told that I've kept people up all night because they were afraid to turn out the lights. That wasn't my intent, but it seemed to work that way. And as Morgan Bryce, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance, which is sexy guys and spooky chills. So let's pick up where we left off last time. Oh, I should mention that Jeannie and I are both in Trick or Treat anthology, Trick or Treat at Canaan Castle. So yeah, she's pointing. She's really good. She has it over her shoulder. I just have a brick wall. So there we go. So where did we leave off? We were talking about the movies that scared the bejeebers out of us, and we all had more to say. So who wants to lead off with this?
Was it Smurfs versus Care Bears? Because that terrified me.
It might have been.
Gene Wilder and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory scared the shit out of me. But I think we had gotten into talking about independent horror films and how, and this is, of course, beer-driven memory, basically how the independent horror scene seems to be fresher and have the better scare fest films, the more frightening films than the mainstream Hollywood horror films tend to have, which largely these days are remakes and reboots. Not that I didn't love the Friday the 13th reboot, it didn't scare me.
Right. Well, Elmarie, I think you were talking about Japanese movies too.
Yep.
I was, yeah. There are several. I mean, I think for the same reason that Jason just brought up about how the reboots, I've had enough. I mean, the remakes, like, where's the originality now? So I found this new Japanese, well, it's not new, but new to me, this genre that like terrified me. There's a movie called Shudder. I think I ended with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Dude, I can't. Like,
that is a scary as hell movie.
Right? I was like, let me watch it again. I'm not. I cannot.
Yeah.
There's this moment where you put the remote in your hand and you're like, okay. And I'm like, no. I can't.
And I think that works well because
there was another one. It was, oh man, please help me remember this. The Audition, I got it. Audition.
No.
Yes.
What is going on? Oh my God, they're killing it. I'm sorry. If you like horror movies, like you've got to like just go ahead and have to read it if you have. So what? If that's your problem, you don't want to read it, just get over it for real. Because the scares are coming from them. And the best, I mean, just not, this isn't scary to me, but the best zombie movie I've ever seen was Train to Busan out of South Korea. Like, we're not in the right spot. I don't know. It's shifted. I mean, and that happened in the 70s, right? We had Italian horror movies that were like terrifying. Heck, I think one of them was called Autopsy, wasn't it?
Yep.
Naked,
That's
dead
a
bodies.
freaky movie.
Get up and it's like, yo, because the first time I saw it, I was like, they're all nude. I'm a kid. I'm like, they're naked, right? But forget the nakedness. They're dead. They're coming at me now. It doesn't matter that they're nude. It was terrifying. So
That's a freaky movie.
We gotta like come out of the comfort zone of just watching these American-made horror movies, because like any movie, because like you just said, Jason, the stuff is all reboots, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
But we're not bringing new creativity to the table. At least hadn't been. Let me say.
I think the biggest issue with the American-made horror movies coming out of Hollywood is they're not looking to tell a story anymore. Most of your foreign horror films, particularly out of Korea and Japan, are independent films. They're studio backed, but those filmmakers get a whole lot more creative license and control over their product versus Hollywood, Paramount, New Line Cinema. These guys are looking for a paycheck. And frankly, people are going to shit all over the reboots. They're going to, why are we getting a Scream reboot? Why are we getting another Nightmare on Elm Street reboot? Why are we getting a Ghostbusters reboot? You're going to go see it. You're going to go see it because you love the franchise. You're going to go see it because the name recognition. And you're going to go see it either because you love these movies no matter how bad they get or good they are, or you're just going to troll it and shit all over it. Either way, you're going to give them your money.
Right.
And I made a comment one
I
night
think that's
during
part
a
of the
panel.
problem.
Yeah, because I made a comment one night during a panel. Someone said, what do we have to do to get these remakes, to get them to stop making remakes? Instead, I said, stop going to see them.
Yeah.
Stop going to see them. And that's not going to happen.
But
And that's, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, with the current unpleasantness, correct?
Yeah.
Things are different now. Now we're not going to the movies. Now we have Amazon originals. Now we have the Netflix originals. And I'm telling you right now, I saw something. It was an Amazon original. I just saw it like 3 days ago. Black Box.
Yeah.
Psychological horror. Like there's no blood. Psychological.
Oh.
One of the best.
I just saw today that Angela Bassett is doing Laveau.
That looks pretty good.
It looks superior.
Mm.
And she doesn't attach herself to things that aren't good.
Right.
I have so much respect for her. And I'm so excited about it.
Is that a spin-off from something else? I know it's a spin-off of something from real life, but what is it a spin-off of? Because I saw the article about that.
American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
American Horrors. Isn't it American Horror Story Coven?
Oh,
That
think
one
so.
has, they have had that one.
Yeah.
Coven's still my favorite.
No, I like the one with Cuba Gooding Jr. What was that?
Yeah.
Connecticut.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I'm just like, the first one was shocking. The rest of it, I'm like,
That was creepy creepo.
yeah.
Yeah. Murder House was creepy.
Yeah. But
Murder House was
but-
creepy. I
but
want to
that-
take that premise and use it again.
but the whole mystique around Marie Laveau, taking that and putting it in a horror perspective, I think that's going to be fabulous.
Yeah.
And we'll just see if they pull it off. But back to what Jason and Marie, what you guys were talking about, the reboots and all that. And Jason, you're right. We just got to quit paying them money. But there's so much rich, fabulous material out there.
Yeah.
That, I mean, The Realms, Alledria's book, Jason, your work, all the work, it's so good. And there's so much wonderful stuff out there. T. Kingfisher's creepy stories. And it just needs to be made.
With the way things are right now, I honestly think with the death of the theater industry, you have also seen the death of the reboot and remake trend.
I definitely
because, well,
Yeah,
and here's
I
the
would
thing,
agree.
because that's what people were going to the movie theater to see. So if they, if they did a live action film of Deadly Curiosities, and then they turned around and did a remake of The Exorcist, no offense, what are people going to go see?
right.
The one
They're
with the
going to
name,
go, yeah, the one with the name recognition.
especially if
so,
you're asking them to pay $10 a ticket and then, $50 for snacks for the
Yeah.
privilege of
Right.
going to watch it.
so this is a prime opportunity now for indie filmmakers who have got these amazing horror films out to get their shit out there, to get with distributors, to get on Amazon and Netflix and Hulu and get their stuff out there. And I think that the movie theater industry would be smart to look at this and go, our problem is we went from being a novelty and we're going to show this movie this week and it'll be a lot of fun, and this is the only weekend you can see it, to you premiere your blockbusters here, and then we'll throw your fluff in this house for 2 weeks and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a business model that can't survive.
Yeah.
I would think one of the advantages that horror has in that environment, particularly psychological horror, is that unlike some of the blockbusters, psychological horror is all atmospheric and suspense, and it does require good acting. You can't just throw someone who can't act in and hope the special effects make up for it.
Right.
But you don't have as much of a necessary investment in those crazy special effects because that's not what the story's about.
Mhm.
So
Right.
you need good actors, but you can cut some of that special effects budget. And I would think that that would make it much more accessible to indie filmmakers and filmmakers without the mega blockbuster budget.
But I think Jason's point is, if it's no longer just you got to get in your car, pay $100 and do it. If you can just be at your house and just be scrolling, you can get the 2 hours Return of the Exorcist done, and you're like, I want to watch something else, and you're still at your house, and you've already paid for your Netflix thing. You're like, hey, here's that Gil Martin property. Let's go watch that first movie. That'd be awesome. And
From what I've heard El Marie talk about The Realms, that's the movie I want to see.
But Jason Buterin just
Like music to someone's ears, like seriously, people who want to throw money at a project, listen, because there's a lot of stuff out there, not to toot my own horn with that, but there's a lot of work that just doesn't ever get discovered. And I think that some of it, if you think about it, when we think about horror movies especially, not everybody admits that they like a good horror movie. Lots of people like a slasher movie, right? But they don't want to admit that Freddy kept them up and that maybe the funny ones were just silly, but the first one scared the hell out of
the first one was crazy.
The first one was scary.
Yes.
You don't want to actually agree with that. I did, by the way, we were talking about on the last panel, Evil Dead. I did remake. That was, now that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's so nasty, but it was so scary.
well, the original Dead was funny when you're like me now, but me 13 or 14 when it came out, I remember specifically being terrified for that entire movie. So do not discount the original Sam Raimi. That was,
I just can't. I just see that guy with the I can't even remember his name. I just Nash. He just ruined it for me. But the first movie, well, the remake, 2013, man, was that good. And I had when I watched Exorcist 3 after our meeting. See, I told you I was taking notes. I watched that too, and I remembered I saw that one. And yes, that scene when the nun comes out like whoo,
that scene that I talked about last time, that I think is the single best jump scare ever recorded. That she comes, it's the solid white outfit, and I'm trying to remember, are they actually like garden shears? Because I think that's what they were. Like
she went like this, and I went like this so that I didn't see it. I don't know. I was terrified.
And they did the big orchestral bump.
Yes, I try to do my best not to cover my eyes. I know I'm a horror author, right? Where are my guts? Not with me. I don't know where they are.
Have you guys watched Yellow Brick Road?
No.
No.
Oh my God. So Yellow Brick Road is about a town that one day just disappeared. And So this, now here we are in present day, and this group is going to go find this town by going, down this road called Yellow Brick Road. They find it behind a movie theater, and once they start down the road, they start hearing this music in the distance. And they know they can't turn back now. They got to find the source of this music. And it keeps getting louder and louder, but then when they wake up, it's further away. So as they continue on, they start to lose their minds. And it's a slow burn, but it's at a point where, okay, something could happen at something. Oh God, and it doesn't have jump scares.
Yeah.
Things happen, and you find yourself just sitting there for a minute going, what do I do with that?
Right.
Because
and I think that's a real difference between 70s, 80s, and early 90s films versus 90s and beyond. There's so much emphasis on the jump scare.
Yes.
And before, there was the movies we all kind of grew up with was the sort of more psychological, more that when you got a jump scare, Lord, it just brought you out of your shoes.
right.
And then there's the ones that like that the music is the thing that gets you, and you can hear that theme and you're like, oh, still now.
Right.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming.
I was in bed.
It's coming.
For some reason, they were playing the horror, like a little bit of the horror, the Halloween music, and I'm like,
Yep.
what in the world? Wait a minute. I came here for sheets. I didn't want to hear that.
If y'all want to hear something really cool, though, when we get all done, go look up. Someone rewrote the Exorcist theme, but they switched it into a major key instead of a minor key. It sounds like something from like a merry-go-round. It's very happy and joyful. And it's a very nice.
Awesome. That's
Funny story about the Halloween theme. Okay, so first Halloween is actually an independent film.
Yeah.
And it's still considered to this day the most successful independent film of all time. Next to Rocky Horror Picture Show, of course. The second thing is, so the theme is actually just a bongo rhythm. That's all it is. It is just, John Carpenter literally just came up with it on bongos and then just had Deborah Hill translate it to piano.
Wow.
That's it. And they filmed it in the summertime. So all of the leaves and whatnot that you see on the street, all of those are planted. And those people are on set dressed for fall in the hot summer, burning up.
I have been on so many sets like that where as an extra, where like I was in the Sacrament. Did y'all see the Sacrament?
Yes, because my kids wanted to see it.
Look for you.
Yes, I'm actually in it. You can see like the back of my head and hear me talking in one of the scenes. But it's like I was in it, but it was filmed here in Georgia in the winter, and we're supposed to be in the like South American jungle in the summertime.
Oh my God.
It is like 40 friggin' degrees with a wind chill in that movie. And we are out there in shorts dancing.
Dancing hard to get warm.
Yes.
Dancing. Earlier, if I can loop back about how people don't want to admit that they like horror movies, and so they don't necessarily go and see them. But I would be interested to see what Blockbuster's rental sales used to be like for the slashers, like a Friday the 13th and the Michael Myers and all that. What
Through
were
the roof.
renting? Because I know when I went in, I could never get my hands on these flicks because they were gone. You know, and I wonder, like, now that the world has changed and we're watching movies at home, if people are going to be more interested in trying to explore that piece of it and then step outside of this slasher stuff and watch the stuff that used to be the psychological horror type of, because I watched Children of the Corn the other day, and
which one?
Yes.
The original?
It's not even the original. It's not even.
Wants you
but
to Malachi.
Oh, I love
Actually,
that, first of
so
all.
funny story about Malachi. The cat that played Malachi, Courtney,
Yeah.
He actually is one of the filmmakers that submitted to film to Con Carolinas and is trying to come to the drive-in this coming weekend.
That's fantastic.
Cool.
You
You know,
I'm just saying, you know,
He-
people like
He
don't-
lives in Atlanta.
Oh, that's great. People don't necessarily want to admit that something like Children of the Corn is right up their alley. Nothing's
Yeah.
wrong with that, but there's always been as a writer, I can say in certain communities, there is a stigma about writing or reading horror fiction.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's
you know-
always a discussion about Black people don't do horror.
Yeah.
Black people don't do horror. We would not be in these situations because we would not do what the white people do.
That's what they
We're
say.
not going in the creepy behind house.
There are some instances where I can go with that, right? I'm not investigating certain things, whatever. I heard it, let's go. I heard
But
it.
then-
I hear it,
but
let's
then we
go.
get
Let's
Jordan
go
Peele.
in.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was the
then we get Jordan Peele.
Right?
ask yourself, is this what a white person would do in a horror movie? If so, don't.
Right.
But in
Yes.
Children of the Corn, the guy was hauling. Did you see him? Every
Yeah.
time he had to run, it was like he was a track star in high school. I was like, this dude is not playing.
Malachi?
I'm like, yeah, the tall guy.
Oh, Malachi, yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
not Malachi. No.
Isaac Malachi.
Malachi was great. I loved him too. But
Yeah.
no, the main character, I can't remember his name.
Me either.
And
But
Sarah
it was-
Connor's opposite him in the movie, so of course I kept calling her Sarah Connor in the movie. I'm like, it's not Sarah Connor, but
Linda Hamilton.
but he was hauling. So yes, there's some crossover. But yeah, I think that now horror could find a new boom because you're at home.
But see, I think it has found a new boom. I think it started to find a new boom and really exploding because look at the success of American Horror Story.
yeah.
Look at the success of Get Out. Look at the success of some of these movies that are subtly horror.
Mhm.
You know, they're not like nobody initially billed Get Out as a horror movie. They just said a new film by Jordan Peele.
I don't know. When I heard it, I heard psychological horror by Jordan Peele.
I heard
Yeah.
psychological drama.
Oh,
was the
really?
when they first started publicizing it.
And now
but
I'm
I
hearing
think-
social horror. I'm like, nah, I don't
Yeah.
know. No, don't believe
But I think American Horror Story's success on television, especially coming from just such a way out in left field. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just all alone
Yeah.
standing there. And now you've got, you know, The Evil and the one with the Warrior Nun and some of these
Of course,
others
you
that
also have Exorcist. Do you really
Yes.
believe they even put that on television? I was like, come on.
I know it was so radical when it first came out. But I was watching. I had on, and well, I think the other thing, Elmarie, to your point though, is there are those people who don't want to admit it, but they love it. I think that's why it's so popular to have, you know, the 31 Nights of Halloween and Frighttober and all that. I mean, everybody just eats that up.
Yeah.
And one of the local stations is showing the Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It
That's
becomes
Nice.
socially
Totally.
acceptable to like it during Halloween.
Right,
It becomes
exactly.
socially acceptable to be like, I
Yeah.
want to watch a horror movie during Halloween. The rest of the year, you're kind of, it's almost like the Christmas movie thing. I will not watch a Christmas movie before like the 31st of November. Will not
I'm
do
with
it.
you. Oh God, it, has to
Mm-mm.
Will not do it.
be better.
It is-
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. Not
And then they still have to be Christmas horror movie. For example, Santa's Sleigh, or Silent Night, Deadly Night,
or
Or
Gremlins.
Krampus.
or Krampus.
Krampus and Gremlins. Yes.
Yes.
Love Gremlins.
Consensus. Love Gremlins. That's it.
Yeah.
On the computer holiday one that was from back in the day, did anybody ever watch Happy Birthday to Me?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
Absolutely.
That one was the one that was billed as the 6 most bizarre deaths you will ever see. And I still remember watching that and going, they're right. These
Oh, Final Destination. No, I'm sorry. That has totally scarred me
Yeah.
for life. I mean,
Oh
not
my
only
God.
Yes.
not drive behind a lumber truck.
I was-
Okay, that
Yeah.
same scene for Miguel.
Everybody knows that
I'm
one.
like, don't leave anything in the car.
Yeah.
That little drawing string that goes across the hotel shower stall.
Yeah.
No.
No.
My daughter has not trusted that since she saw that movie, and we were on vacation at the beach, and it was unhooked. It was just, but it was hanging there because, like, you know, it wasn't zipping up fast. in the middle of her shower, it goes kazing, rooms away.
Nice. Nice.
Driving up to Winston-Salem to visit mom and dad last weekend, and I got in behind a lumber truck, and it was about 1.2 milliseconds before my brain said, "Oh hell no!"
Right?
And floored it. And that guy must have. And the thing is, I guarantee you, during that day, that guy had more people jet past him because everybody's seen that movie, and we're all like, "No,
Yeah.
no."
And is it Final Destination, or is it Final Destination, the reboot of it, where it's the glass truck with the panels of glass on the sides of the truck?
I think it's the reboot.
Maybe it's the reboot. Well, I had the same thing, Darin. I was coming up. I drove to North Carolina and back to DC this weekend, and I got behind 2 or 3 different ones coming up the spine of the mountains on 81 going, "Oh, no, 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 no." We'll be going around that now.
Exactly. You know, you just brought something to mind for me when you said that. Do you guys remember it was The Omen 2, I think, when they were, the picture of the Antichrist was on the stone thing? And the guy was like, remember? And he's like, isn't that where he got his head chopped off with the glass pane?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
That's also in Rose Red.
Yes.
That's
Which
also
was
in Rose
a
Red.
really good movie, and I think that was made for TV, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes, it was. It's like 5 hours long.
Yeah.
And I watch it
think
on a
I
regular
have it.
basis.
Well, you
I
know,
think I actually have it on DVD.
one of the other ones
Maybe.
that I haven't seen a lot about, but scared the crap out of me, was a movie called Dark Water.
Yep.
It's
Now, the Japanese one or the American one?
the
The
American
Japanese
one, but
one.
it was based on a Japanese short story by the person who also wrote the Ring trilogy.
Yes,
Yeah.
you got to watch the Japanese one.
Yeah, that's the only one I've seen is the Japanese one.
On the
I've
top
seen the American
of
version.
the New York City buildings, and every
Mhm.
time I go to New York City, I'm just eyeing those, going, I know about you. I know about you.
I think I mentioned in here, because again, me with the Japanese movies, but I mentioned Juwan.
Yep.
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
New one.
But let's look at, you need to look at the first Ring. It's Ringu.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, you think you're afraid of that girl watching The Ring. No, you're not. Wait till you see the other one, the real one. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Like, I want to leave my house sometimes watching some of these movies. I'm like, listen, you can have it.
Have y'all seen
Have
Have y'all seen Suspiria? The original Suspiria?
I'm in the middle
No,
of
not
that
the
right
original
now.
one.
So the original Suspiria is an interesting. So it takes place at an all-girls dance academy. The whole pitch of it is there's a serial killer loose, but we find out later that it's all a witch coven thing going on. And some of these girls get killed in the most horrific ways. I mean, one of them gets found. She's got like nails in her eyeballs. One gets thrown through a big glass window and has the shards sticking out of her and whatnot. And when Dario Argento wrote that, he got the script and everything was ready to go. And the studio called him and they said, dude, we can't make this movie. And he goes, why not? All of the girls in the school were ages 11, 12, and 13.
Oh.
Yeah. So he said, okay, I'll just change the ages. So if you watch it, you have to be kind of patient with the script and the acting because all he changed was the age group. He didn't make any changes to the script.
This is the original one or the one that's
Yeah, the original one.
Okay, I'm in the
The
middle.
original one.
Dialogue.
It's on
sounds
Tubi.
interesting.
It's on Tubi.
Mhm.
But yeah, that and being cooped up, I've been able to sit down and watch movies that I hadn't seen before that I've always been curious about. I've been able to watch some of the Hammer horror films that I watched as a kid, and I've been able to revisit some of the slasher movies and some of the movies that I enjoyed as a kid because I'd watch Friday the 13th or something like that, and then I'd go to school and tell my friends about it, and I can't do that anymore.
Well, you can come talk to us.
Right?
This is true. But revisiting those and not being able to really chat about having to spend all your time assessing it yourself can put those movies in a different light. So, for example, the original Godzilla, Gojira, of 1954. When I was a kid, I watched it and went to school and, in elementary school and was talking about it. And I watched it again as an adult without having that out, so to speak, having to hang on to it for so long. And looking back at it, that's a terrifying movie.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Looking at what it represents, looking at what, how straight they were playing it, because you look at some of the other Godzilla movies, like, oh, big lizard.
Yeah.
The original's terrifying and frankly quite depressing.
Well,
and at the end of the film, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It's just at the end of the film, it's like, who do you feel for? Because we understand what Godzilla represents, why he's there,
Mm-hmm.
and yet we have mankind has built the worst weapon that you can possibly think of, the oxygen destroyer, which was representative of the atomic bomb. And the one person who knows how to build it destroys all the plans so that when he goes underwater to sacrifice himself to kill Godzilla, the oxygen destroyer dies with him.
Yeah.
It's like,
But
crazy
conversely, on movies that you watch later, that you watched as a kid that scared the ever-living crap out of you, some of the original, Saturday B-grade matinee movies, Dracula scared the ever-living hell out of me. But mostly because I have two older brothers.
Which Dracula? The Christopher Lee ones?
The Bela Lugosi and the Christopher Lee ones, the ones that in the late 70s they would play like Saturday night, so that at slumber parties you could watch these creepy ass movies, right? But your parents would be like, oh, it's just that Bela Lugosi movie. Oh, it's not scary, right? Yeah, well, I have older brothers and it was scary.
Yeah.
When they come and sneak onto the roof next to your bedroom window and start scratching on it, yeah, that's.
Oh, that bullshit from Salem's Lot. Let me in. Fuck you, dude.
Yep.
There's one movie coming up that I'm actually kind of looking forward to because I just think it's such a cool, different twist, is the one that's Freaky, which is basically taking the movie Freaky Friday, but instead of it being the mom and the daughter switching, it's the girl and the serial killer changing places. Have y'all seen the ads for this?
No.
It's going to be coming out in the next few months. And who are the two guys in Wedding Crashers? I'm having a brain cramp.
Vince Vaughn and Luke Wilson.
It's Vince Vaughn as a serial killer and 18-year-old blonde girl as high school person trading personas. So blonde girl becomes the Vince Vaughn serial killer and goes around and starts killing all of her classmates. Whereas Vince Vaughn, with the soul of the 18-year-old blonde girl, is trying to convince all of her friends that she's who she is and that they've got to go stop the serial killer in her body. That's the one that sounds like it's going to be fun.
Did you see The Babysitter?
No.
That was fun. You need to watch The Babysitter. Yes, it does have its creepy moments, but it's largely horror comedy. Yeah. Natalie actually made us watch that the other night, and I'm like, this is going to suck. And I ended up having a really good time with it.
Cool. Speaking of horror comedy, have you seen Vampires versus the Bronx?
I have
love
not.
that movie.
I think
We're going to be doing it as a watch party here on ConTinual in a couple of weeks. And that was so smart and clever. And it was just so much fun.
It was. And I don't normally like horror comedy. I just, I want to laugh when I want to laugh and I want to be afraid. I don't want to sit here laughing at, but this was just refreshing. You almost didn't realize that you were supposed to be like, this was supposed to be a vampire. Like, yeah, but it didn't, the fear that a vampire might give you in any other movie didn't exist. So you didn't expect it to exist. And then you could just enjoy the comedy for what it was.
It had Goonies feel to me.
I loved it.
That's how I felt about the Goonies feel that's how I felt about Doghouse. It's an independent film about these guys who take their buddy who's getting married for a bachelor party to this town for the weekend. All the men in the town have been killed, and all the women are zombies because of a military weapons experiment.
That's creepy.
And it's fantastic. Like this one like really fat woman zombie kidnaps one of the guys. He's like this ladies' man wannabe, takes him up to the room, and she's like trying to feed him cake, and she's eating fingers in front of him and whatnot. And he just finally goes, "Just be gentle."
Oh my Lord. You know, I think just to get back to one of the comments that Jeannie was making about going back and revisiting movies and they used to scare you. I actually watched The Exorcist, the original.
Yeah.
Before Halloween, because I'm trying to do like a 31 movies thing, and I figured let me watch my favorites before we get to this month so I can try and, you know, get some new ones in. And I watched the original and found that I am no longer frightened by it. And I was kind of sad too, because I'm like, oh, this used to scare me to death. But
That one's
some
still.
movies don't age. Like when she spins her head around, I was like, look at the doll. I mean, I knew it was a doll back in the day, but
Yeah.
Now-
You see it. You see it. It's almost like when I used to watch the old Godzilla movies, and I could finally see the zipper on the monster.
yeah,
When you're like, oh, it's a guy in a suit. Huh.
yeah. And there's a
I used to think that was real.
takes the magic out a little bit. Now, I mean, I've been to the stairs. I've watched that movie a million times. I can quote some lines out of it. It's ridiculous, and I still feel that way about it. But the fear, like, I wonder how long does the fear stick with you? You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you that the fear still sticks with me with Rosemary's Baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
That
great
one
Yeah,
still
there's
creeps
a-
me out
there's
every
a-
single time.
Yeah.
There's a children's movie it's the second Pinocchio movie. It's the second Pinocchio movie where there is a carnival that comes on a ship, and he is a real boy, gets turned back into a puppet, and to this day I can't sit through this movie.
Wow.
I cannot sit through it. I get to a certain part and my brain starts flashing the warning signs. It says this is gonna be bad. And I'm like, nope, I'm done. Thank you.
See, that's
Check
the
it
way
out.
I am about American Werewolf in London, that everybody loves.
It's a great
Everybody
movie.
loves that movie. And I get to that scene where the Nazi werewolves come in and whip back that shower curtain, and I am out.
I have a question for Jeannie. Do you think that mothers are have more of a visceral reaction to Rosemary's Baby? Because I think as a man, I can watch it and be scared by it, but I don't know that I will ever understand. You know, in her mind, she goes, "That's my baby, and I love my baby, but that's the son of Satan, and I hate that." And I don't know that I don't know that I can viscerally understand that in quite the same way. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think there's something to that. It scared the ever-living crap out of me long before I had children.
Mhm.
But I think it probably affects me just as much or more now because I do have children. And that sense of having been completely blindsided and not allowed to know anything while your child is being born and you don't see it and then they tell you that stuff, it's like, I think that preys on every mother's fear.
Yeah. That's actually how I feel about the Jeanne movie, because it's a mother's curse. The mother's killed, the child is killed, the pet is killed, and she is angry, and she wants revenge for what happened to her child, primarily herself too, but her baby. So
Yeah.
I saw it before I was a mom. And I was, as a woman, I was like, my God, someone could do that to another woman. Oh my God. Now that I have a child, I like particularly when she frightens me most, I tell her, I would never do this to you. I am also a mother. You know what I mean? So yeah, there is a connection, I think, sometimes with these sort of, characters that kind of stick to us like that. I think I brought up the Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. That was a pregnant lady getting dragged off into the darkness, and I think as a woman, like there's a connection like, that could happen to me. I mean, I don't want to be, and it's not a conscious thought for me, but I think just being a woman, you kind of feel the same, like Stepford Wives.
Yeah.
Turn into that. But I know some people who could have, that could have been reality. And it's terrifying.
But I think that's one of the things about horror movies. It's so it's both so attractive and gives us all the creeps is it's the things we most fear. It preys on the things that are either cultural memory or genetic or gender memory, that the things we fear, the things that, you know, people would try to do to us to take away our power, all of those things, that's part of what horror movies do. And the fact that someone, preferably not the villain, does triumph in the end, and when the sun rises, they're still standing there bloodied and unbowed, is what makes us want to watch them again.
And on
Then
that
there's the
perfect segue, I'm going to wrap us up because we need to go run movie night. So
Yeah.
let's go once around and tell everybody where people can find you online, starting with you, Alledria.
AlledriaHurt.com. Find me there.
Awesome. Jeannie?
JeanneAdams.com or on Twitter at Jeanne Adams.
Elmarie?
ElmarieWood.com or on Twitter, ElmarieWood1.
Awesome. Darin?
DarinKennedy.com, and I have some music for the outro.
Oh shit. JasonHGilbert.com. You can find me on Facebook at Jason Gilbert's author. And you can also find my stuff on Amazon.
What about you, Gail?
GailZMartin.com and MorganBryce.com. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll have a lot more holiday and Halloween stuff coming for you here at ConTinual. See you online.